Hello IT world, I'm Andy and this is InfoTek channel. In these videos, I'm trying to share my personal experiences working in IT field. I help people who are new in IT and who's trying to make it IT their profession. Ooh, that's a good cause. I'm your path and I'm your light in a dusky world of innovative technologies. On a serious note though, today we're gonna talk about very big topic and it's called building your resume, specifically IT related resume. While building your IT resume, keep in mind that you want to make yourself very appealing for the potential employer. Building your IT resume, just focus on 3 key points. First, you are already knowledgeable. Second, you continuously learn and you love to learn new stuff, new technology, etc. Right? And you bring big and good value to the team if employed. Some 12 years ago, when I just started, and I've been researching on information about how to build a resume, I couldn't really find any good information. All right, but times change, right? It's 2023, and hopefully I'll provide you a very big and good value on what needs to be included in that resume. All right, I ended up asking for a template from my teacher from IT related course, and she actually sent me an email with her vision of how resume is supposed to be looking like. And she sent me a very old, outdated version of that resume with very old and obsolete versions of servers, databases, and ETL tools that were used probably when she was young. So I researched online. I couldn't find a really good template specifically for my profession, and it was database related field like data engineer. But now I'll give you 3 examples of a very good composed resumes. So that's gonna be good. Stay tuned. So this is something for you to start working with. All right, that would be bullet points. A template for you to just start building your resume with. So basically your name, address, phone, email, right? You don't want to provide too much of the information. For example, it's not supposed to be the full address here, all right? Just area code or zip code, or it might work if you just provide city and state. But then you need to include cell phone number. If you have a secondary one that you don't use for personal use a lot, provide that cell phone number, but make sure it's always on and you can respond to recruiters calling you. And of course, your email, something that's associated with your maybe LinkedIn profile if you have professional one, right? So basically an email that's dedicated to your future work activity. Then skill summary, right? Basically what you're looking for, maybe your education, if you have degree, course, experience. Then if you're switching from one employer to another, right? If you're still employed and you just want to switch to a different role or different company, put a name of your current employer and when you started working. If it's still current, put it from that year to present, right? If you left the company, put the month and date when you left. Then awards and acknowledgements, and basically a description of your awards or maybe key accomplishments, something like that. Now let me show you something else. This is a particular resume of a person who's trying to find IT related job and be a SQL developer, or you can use it for any developer type of job basically in your resume building process. Let me open it in Word Yeah, it's right here. So you see how your name is supposed to be on top as a header. That's how you compose a header. You put your name, you put city, state, your cell phone number, and email for them to contact you, right? So recruiters are most likely gonna be calling you, or even double down and give you a call on your cell phone, and also send you email with job description. After they check on your resume and they determine your resume is a good fit for that position, they will send you email and call you directly, pretty much all at the same time. Recruiters are very proactive, so make sure you're ready to receive from 5 to 15 calls every day when you're on the job market. Then it will be a summary. You always indicate your status first. If you are a green card holder, put it in the very beginning of your summary or objective. If you are a United States citizen, put it in the very first sentence in your about or description paragraph. The reason you want to do that, right, is that some jobs require you to pass a clearance, right? So based on you being a permanent resident or US citizen, we'll tell recruiters if you would be able to pass public trust or maybe higher security clearance. And a lot of jobs in IT field right now are connected to be able to pass that clearance process, right? So if you are not on that level, they would not even continue talking, right? Try to avoid the situation where they already start asking about your salary expectations, right? And why you think you're a good fit for this position or for that company. And then after 5 or 10 minutes talking, they mention that job requires security clearance and you're not citizen, right? So you're not eligible in the first place. And basically, this is where the conversation dies, and they say, oh no, we're looking for someone who can pass security clearance, right? To avoid all this hassle of going back and forth, let them know your status up front. So right here, very first thing, US citizen, right? Or permanent resident or green card holder, or whatever your status is, right? So to avoid confusion in the future. Then you mention your skills. It's like you go from big picture that you're a IT professional, you have this and this experience, and you're looking for that and that type of job. You go to details. Your skills, for example, you know programming languages, like so you work with cloud providers, with compute cloud resources, maybe Azure, maybe Google Cloud, or Amazon Web Services, which stands for AWS. Then you work with operating systems, you know how to monitor databases with these particular tools. You work with web applications, you know basic 3-tier application design, which is application database storage. Like basically go to a more detailed picture. Next part would be your education and certification. Go from, in this particular one, I do not think it's correct. I would go from the oldest one to the most recent. Actually, yeah, that's correct. Okay, that's good. In your experience, you go vice versa. Present one is first, and then you go to older workplaces. And here's your experience. Yeah. So experience is shown in the way that most recent one comes on top. It's exact opposite in your education and training. You go from older to most recent. With work experience, you go from most recent to older ones. All right. And here's your basically company, then description or title of your job, and then bullet points of the tasks that you performed at this particular job. All right, then would come your second recent job, and again, bullet points of the tasks performed at that job. Let me minimize it so you can take a screenshot. That's page number 1. of a simple, plain resume. That would be for someone who's coming from 0 years of experience to 5 years of experience. All right, it would be page number 2. Nowadays, you can take a screenshot or photograph on your phone, and then still you'd be able to copy text and paste it into your Word or Notepad. And page number 3, for you to take picture, all right, and just copy paste the text or make some small corrections. If some of these bullet points do not apply to you, you just remove them or replace with something else. Now we will talk about more advanced resume. This one is for a person who's been in the fields for 11 years. Again, header should include your name, city, state, or maybe just zip code, or state and zip code, cell phone, and email. You need this information for the recruiters to be able to contact you. But again, you don't want to provide too much information, because unfortunately, even on websites like monster.com or ziprecruiter.com or Glassdoor, still they got a big number of scammers, and you will receive spam emails or maybe spam phone calls. And if they know your full name and they can cross-reference that name with your social media accounts, and they have full address and your cell phone and email, it's already too much information for a scammer to try to steal your identity or harm you in some other ways, right? So give minimum information, maybe state and zip code or city and state, and as far as it's possible, provide an alternative cell phone number, something that you don't use for your personal banking, for example. Like I have 2 cell phone numbers, I provide this secondary one. Then comes objective, and you see how I mentioned in the previous example, the very first thing that you indicate is your status in the United States, if you are in the United States, right? If you're a US citizen, of course, let them know. It tells recruiters and company managers that you should be able to pass pretty much any security clearance, right? So at least you have a capacity. Reason number 1, a lot of security clearance processes dependent on you being a citizen or not, all right? So let them know upfront. Then start talking about your immediate experience, right? In your objective section, you talk about your particular experience with particular tools. And typically objective or summary is going to be super short for younger, for less experienced engineers. And of course, you will see more texts, more paragraphs here, like working on these database engines, on performance tuning, working with relational database systems, mention all databases or all tools that you know at least a little bit, right? So it will show that you are diverse and you've been actually continuously improving and learning new stuff and new tools, right? And then outline your hands-on experience as a last paragraph or second to the last. Then from this big picture, again, you go to smaller details, key competence. So now you specify if you work with database servers or Windows or Linux server, put versions of these databases or server, or Windows server, for example, Linux, if you work with both, right? Indicate which operating systems you covered in your years of experience, which programming languages you know, like in this case it's a lot, like transactional SQL, ASP.NET. That's something that a lot of employers look for. You know Java, you know XML, you know JSON, and JSON is a big deal because if you know how to put a basic coding in JSON, it's used a lot with Amazon Web Services provider. Like basically, if you work with a DMS, database migration service, you need to be able to code in JSON. Then hardware, so in this particular case, only storage is indicated for some reason, but you can put more information about hardware. Basically, hardware is physical parts of your server, of your computer. RAID, you know, the storage is also part of hardware. But in this case, it's like different type of storage is mentioned. Yeah, that's up to you. You can mention only storage, or instead of hardware, say storage, right? You will be asked on all these little things, by the way. So pay close attention about what you include in your resume, because you will be asked questions based on what you have in your resume, all right? So manager, whoever opens it up, they will be asking you not what the job requires, basically, but what they see in your resume. They want to verify that you can speak freely about stuff you included in your resume. That's a first key point that lets them know how proficient you are, right? And how true your resume is, true compared to your actual experience. And then again, you put education one more time, oldest one first, and then as soon as you completed some new courses, you will go to a newer and newer by year course or certification or diploma. And then in training certifications, again, I would include years here in front of each new bullet point to show that you continuously learn, you continuously improve yourself, right? That's the whole point, and how it actually works for education and certifications. Then skills, if you're more or less professional, you start again giving them detailed overview of tools and skills that you have, right? If you worked with extract, transform, and load tools, indicate which tools you've been working with, right? If you work on creating reports, indicate which tool you used to build these reports. In this case, it's SQL Server Reporting Service. And you used Report Builder for that purposes, right? Again, in your professional experience, you go from most recent to older one, all right? Keep in mind, education, you go from old to present. Professional experience, from present to old, because they want to see your most current job on top, because most questions they will be asking you about your most recent project. You know, if you worked in some kind of IT job 8 years ago or 10 years ago, there's no use to ask you detailed questions about that job because you don't remember, right? Now your brain's occupied with what you're doing right now, or most recent experience. That is why most recent professional experience comes on top, right? And you basically outline, you tell them what that position was about, years that you worked in this role, and basically what you accomplished, right? Maybe what your daily routine was about, and what kind of hands-on experience you got at this particular position with this particular role. And then you come down to your third most recent job. Typically, like including 3 is enough, right? Even though you put like 5 or 6 different workplaces, you're not going to be asked, like no one is going to go and read all 6 job descriptions of your past. So yeah, I would include 3 top most recent ones. Here the person actually indicated more with a lot of bullet points, and it makes your resume bulky and big. So I guess what this person was going for is to actually create the impression that he or she is very experienced. These are pages for you to screenshot. All right, so make a screenshot of the page number 1, then page number 2, then page number 3, then page number 4, then page number 5, page number 6, and page number 7. All right. And our final resume to review today is again more like on the advanced side, I would say. Again, this engineer has 10 plus years of experience. Of course, resume is gonna sound and look solid. Header, as I mentioned, your name, short address, not the full address, cell phone or alternative cell phone that's dedicated to work only, all right, not related to your personal banking accounts. And email, again, would be nice if you have an email specifically dedicated to job market. You use it when you are on job market, you're looking for a job. Otherwise, spammers and scammers, even from reputable websites where you put your resume, that information is gonna leak, and unfortunately you start receiving spams and scam calls and emails. So be ready for that. Now, after you cover the header, you go for quality statement. That's another way to do a summary, right? Or when you say objective. In this case, if you like that definition more and you want to do it in a way of quality statement, you can copy that particular paragraph from this particular resume. So here again, that's a very short, although the person is experienced, it's a very short summary of who he is and what he's been working with. Then comes a very compressed education and training. Again, I would include years of experience, like basically what year I've been taking that computing class, or when I got this and that certification, right? And in that progression of years, let's say you received something in 2012, then you received another certificate in 2014, then you accomplished or completed a new course on automation tools in 2015. It shows the potential employer and even recruiter that you continuously improve yourself, you continuously learn, all right? That's important. That's a very good impression when people see it on your resume. Then you go with technical summary. Again, it's just basically your hands-on experience with specific tools. So if you know C#, you indicate C#. If you work with ASP.NET, or you work with Python, or you know PowerShell or PowerPoint, anything, even Word or Excel, all right, if it's online version, it's a pretty advanced tool, right? It's worth, being mentioned on your resume. Then you go for key accomplishments. These are like basically bullet points of your accomplishments, right? What you've been working with, and if you succeeded working on a specific project using this specific tool. Then you go for employment history, and you see how again present year is on top. Then comes second most recent with bullet points of basically your job description or tasks you accomplished at that work. Then third most recent, fourth most recent, and so on. You can also put the title of your position and even where you worked, the job, in which city and state. Eventually, when you get hired, they will still ask one more time more details about your previous work experience and your former employers, right? They do verification type of process on your past experiences. And then this person decided to include awards and interests. Well, that's kind of, that part is what makes your resume a little bit more fun. You say I like playing guitar or bicycling, or I'm a traveler, right? It might ring a bell or kind of click with hiring manager if he also likes playing guitar, for example, like you, I don't know, might add you some points. But awards is definitely a very good thing to include if you worked in a particular role and you've been awarded, promoted in a specific year from like engineer to senior engineer, or you've been database support and then you've been promoted to technical account manager, right, in your role, like basically working with the same resources but higher level position where you directly communicate with end client, with customer. So that would be it. Let me show you pages in a smaller format. Right here you can take hold on, that would be a better view. You can take a screenshot of page number 1 for that resume. That is for software automation engineer. Second page, just take a screenshot or photograph and then copy and paste. And the third page. So although this resume is kind of advanced, still it can be actually short. So just think of what kind of person you are, if you like going into small details, or you are kind of, small talk person. In accordance to that, create your resume, all right? It would look weird if your resume is very advanced and very little detail oriented, and then when you talk you don't give the small details. It sounds strange, right? So if you love talking a lot, your resume should be bigger, right, and more detailed. If by nature you're a person who's more reserved, right, not talkative, then make your resume look short. All right, it would be like natural fit for your personality. Well, I hope that helps. Now you have 3 good templates, good examples, right? I explained how you outline your experiences, how you list your accomplishments, and how you put most recent job on top, and then you go to older jobs in time, and you put older on top and most recent on the bottom when you talk about certifications or education. Well, if you have any corrections or suggestions, or you have a different template, maybe better than what I showed here, definitely go down to our comments and include this information in the comments under this video. Right? Other people want to see it, other people want more information, so you'll be helping them to succeed too. And until next video, bye-bye.